Factsverse presents. NASA struggles to contain a supervolcano that could destroy all of humanity. Many people have a different idea of how the world will end. Some believe a massive asteroid will collide with Earth, killing everybody and everything on the planet. Some believe climate change will be the end of us, slowly. Many people believe a nuclear war will be our end. A few less likely options are aliens and a zombie apocalypse. Nobody has the answers, of course, but scientists are trying to figure this out more and more. Brian Wilcox works for the NASA Advisory Council on Planetary Defense. His mission was simple. He was told to find realistic ways that the world might end and then stop it from happening. He never expected his research would take him to one of the most beautiful places in nature. When Brian first began, he focused on keeping the Earth from getting hit by an asteroid or a comet. Well, it wasn't long before his research took his attention and his worry away from space debris and brought him to Yellowstone National Park. The park is about 3,500 square miles of rivers, canyons, forests, and, of course, Old Faithful. Old Faithful draws tourists from all over the world. On the surface, it's beautiful. Beneath, however, there is trouble a-brewin'. 5 miles beneath the surface is a pool of magma that has access to the surface. It is a volcano, but not a typical volcano. Because of its explosive potential, it is classified as a supervolcano. There are only 20 of them on the planet, and according to Brian, the threat of the supervolcano erupting is much worse than an asteroid or a comet threat. According to experts, a supervolcano erupts every 100,000 years. Yellowstone's supervolcano has burst 3 times in history, and it has occurred every 600,000 years. According to experts, it's been about that long since it happened the last time. Unfortunately, eruption models are not an exact science. Just because we are at the 600,000-year mark, it doesn't mean that we're guaranteed another eruption. However, Brian is focused on doomsday, and so it's something that he couldn't ignore. He says that if the supervolcano were to erupt, it would be devastating to everything on Earth, not just Yellowstone Park. If the volcano did erupt, 3 feet of ash would blanket Wyoming, Colorado, Montana, and Idaho. The atmosphere would cool to the point where it could cause a volcanic winter, which would wipe out all the crops and make growing almost impossible. The food reserves would run out in about 74 days. Buildings would be damaged, power plants would shut down, it would cause chaos and end everything. Because Brian's job is to pinpoint threats and then figure out how to stop them, he got right to work on this issue. He knew a volcano would erupt if the magma reached a specific temperature, and he figured that if they could cool the volcano down, that could prevent an eruption. Brian figured that when you want to cool something down, you pour water on it. Brian thought it sounded archaic, but it still might work. Brian thought they could transport the water using an aqueduct uphill into the mountains. Unfortunately, that would be difficult and very expensive, and many people would find that to be a waste of water. Because there are so many people all over the world who are desperate for water, it would be a very controversial project. Because building the infrastructure would need the approval of Congress, which isn't likely, they went back to the drawing board and came up with a different idea. Rather than building infrastructure, they could drill down just over 6 miles into the Earth on each side of the volcano. That would allow recyclable water to be pumped in at high pressure, which would cool the magma from the bottom up. If they were to drill this way, they could create a geothermal plant, which can generate electric power at great prices. Unfortunately, this strategy would have risks that are catastrophic if something were to go wrong. If they drilled at the wrong angles, they could damage the cap over the magma chamber, which could release toxic gases into the atmosphere. It could even trigger an eruption. That would cost $3.46 billion, and it could take tens of thousands of years to lower the temperature safely. Brian may not have found a cost-effective and safe way to eliminate the threat of Old Faithful erupting, but he is still looking into it. He's also working on other defenses against the causes of the end of the world. Until then, though, we just have to hope things stay calm. What do you think is going to happen to end the world someday? Tell us in the comments, and subscribe for more.